In 1994, Winston Groom sold the movie rights to his novel Forrest Gump for $350,000. His contract gave him 3% of the film's net profits. The movie grossed $678 million at the box office. A year later, Paramount sent him a statement showing the film had lost $62 million on paper. So Groom got nothing. That's the whole business model. A Hollywood studio is the only industry in America where the customer pays $700 million and the studio still claims it lost money. There are 6 major Hollywood studios left in the United States: Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, Universal, Sony, Paramount, and Lionsgate. Between them, they release maybe 120 theatrical films a year. The biggest deal in entertainment history was Disney buying 20th Century Fox in March 2019. $71.3 billion in stock, plus another $23 billion in assumed debt, $85 billion all in. That sounds like a lot, but that's the first thing to understand about a Hollywood studio. You're not buying movies. You're not buying a building in Burbank. You're buying a tax classification, a library of copyrights, and a contract structure that lets you call $700 million movies a loss. The studio is the wrapper. The actual product is the legal architecture inside it. Look, the Hollywood accounting trick, the thing Groom got hit with, is not an exception. It's the rule, and it's so well known that there's a court case about it. In 1988, Eddie Murphy made a movie called Coming to America. The studio was Paramount. The film grossed $288 million on a budget of about $39 million. A humorist named Art Buchwald sued. He had a contract giving him a percentage of net profits on the story he sold them. Paramount told him the film had lost money. He sued. A California judge ruled Paramount's accounting was, and I'm quoting, unconscionable. Buchwald got $900,000. The case is called Buchwald versus Paramount. It's the case that gave Hollywood accounting its name. Here's how it works. The studio creates a paper shell company for the movie. The shell pays a distribution fee to the parent studio, usually 30 to 35% of gross, plus interest, plus overhead, plus production financing fees, plus marketing markups. Every one of those line items goes to a different division of the same parent company. By the time you tally the net, the movie owes the parent company more than it earned. The cash all stays in the parent. The loss sits in the shell. The talent who took net points get nothing. If you bought a studio tomorrow, this is what you'd actually be buying. Then there's the library. The catalogue of films and TV shows the studio owns the copyrights to. This is the real balance sheet asset, not the new releases. When Amazon bought MGM in March 2022 for $8.45 billion, they didn't really care about new movies. They wanted the library. 4,000 films, 17,000 TV episodes, and one specific asset, the rights to the James Bond franchise. 27 films released since Dr. No in 1962. Variety estimated the library alone was worth $3.4 billion. The Bond IP was estimated at another 2 to 4. Everything else was almost a rounding error. When Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012 for $4.05 billion, they did not buy a movie production company. They bought Star Wars, the right to make, distribute, and license everything in that universe. Toys, theme parks, streaming series, video games, forever. A studio's library is the only thing that compounds. New releases are flips. The library is the annuity. Then there's the distribution window. Same content, sold 7 different ways across 18 months. A new theatrical release plays exclusive in cinemas for about 45 days. The studio splits ticket revenue with theaters roughly 50-50 in week 1, sliding lower over time. After 45 days, the film goes to premium video on demand, $20 to rent. After 90 days, it hits the studio's own streaming service. 6 months after that, it gets licensed to other streamers and cable networks. 2 years out, it hits free ad-supported TV. 10 years out, it hits airline in-flight. 20 years out, it's a to-be catalog filler. Each window is monetized separately. Each window is a separate contract. The customer thinks they paid for the movie once. The studio collects on it 7 times. Then there's the tax incentive game. Georgia, the state, gives a 30% rebate on all in-state production spending. In 2023, the state certified $1.24 billion in film tax credits. The industry spent $4.1 billion in Georgia that year. Every Marvel movie since 2014 has been at least partially shot in Atlanta. Stranger Things lives there. The British Crown filmed in Croatia and Spain, partly because both countries have a 40% rebate too. Czech Republic at 35%, New Zealand at 20%. The decision of where to shoot a $150 million movie is mostly a tax decision, not an artistic one. Studios don't pay for production. States and countries pay for production. The studio takes the tax credit, sells it to a Goldman Sachs unit for 90 cents on the dollar and pockets the spread. That's free money. That's part of what you're buying when you buy a studio. A fluent handler of an international tax arbitrage network. Then there's the IP universe play. A studio with one good IP universe is worth more than 10 studios with libraries of one-off films. Marvel Cinematic Universe has grossed more than $30 billion at the global box office across the films alone, before you count Disney+, merchandise, theme park rides, or the back catalogue of comic books Disney also owns. Star Wars is a similar magnitude. Bond, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, the Conjuring universe. These are the trophies. New releases keep the universe alive. The universe is the asset. Anyway, that's why when you read about a studio sale, the press release always mentions the IP. Amazon MGM said Bond. Disney Lucasfilm said Star Wars. Disney Fox said Avatar and The Simpsons. Skydance Paramount in 2024 said Top Gun and Mission Impossible. The IP is the headline. The studio is the wrapper. Last one, the streaming bait and switch. For about a decade, Netflix paid Hollywood studios huge sums to license their old libraries. Friends went to Netflix for $100 million a year. The Office for a similar number. NBC, Warner, Disney, they all sold their backstock to a new buyer who paid in cash. That money flowed into the studio income statements as pure margin. Then around 2019, the studios noticed something. The licensing fees were starting to feel small compared to what Netflix was building on the back of them. So they yanked the libraries. Disney pulled its content from Netflix and launched Disney+. Warner pulled its content for HBO Max, NBC for Peacock, Paramount for Paramount+. The bet was that the studio's own streaming service would capture more value than the license fee from Netflix. For most of them, that bet has not paid off. Operating a streaming service costs billions, and the subscriber bases aren't big enough to clear. But it shifted the chessboard. The library went from being a passive royalty stream to being a competitive weapon. So what are you actually buying when you buy a Hollywood studio? It isn't the movies. The movies lose money on paper. It isn't the studio lot in Burbank. That's just real estate the parent could sell tomorrow. You're buying a library of copyrights that compounds for a century. A contract architecture that lets you call hits into losses on the talent side. A distribution machine that sells the same film through 7 different windows over 20 years. A tax credit handler with relationships in 8 countries and 12 states. And one good IP universe, if you're lucky, that prints money for decades. When you multiply that across the 6 majors that still exist, you begin to understand what the entertainment business actually is. The movie is the consumer interface. The studio is a financial vehicle that happens to also produce films. Winston Groom eventually sued Paramount, settled in 1995 for a 7-figure sum, and told a reporter he was happy as a pig in sunshine. Paramount kept the film. Paramount kept the franchise rights. Paramount kept the copyright. The library still earns. The system worked exactly as it was designed.